Have you ever wanted to spend the night in a truly haunted home? In this episode, we are going to give you our list of the top haunted Airbnbs that we have visited and all of the logistics that you will need to book the location and investigate yourself.
Everything from where to go, what to expect, and most importantly, how to convince your significant other who doesn't investigate to go along.
So important.
Plus, we'll share some of our favorite haunted stays and show you the evidence we captured, along with what to do if you're assigned the bed next to the portal. So let's get to it.
All right, Jason, we are going to start with Bethany's Home Sweet Haunted Home located in Jackson, California. Now, this home appears to be built late 1800s, perhaps even the late 1870s. This home was a female boarding house, a gambling den, a brothel, and then a family home. There is a water source right in the backyard of the home, and it is built in a mining town. So if you believe in that recipe for things to be haunted, this is the perfect place. This home is 4 beds, 2 baths, 2 floors, and it even has a kitchen on that bottom floor that was stocked with treats and snacks and had a refrigerator. This is a full functional house and is for an old house, and very easy to be able to sleep in this home if you so desire.
Yeah, the furnishings were all pretty modern. Yeah. Kitchen had modern appliances. So if you want to stay there, it's definitely very doable.
Yeah, that's right. Television, Wi-Fi, which is important, right? Yep. In case you want to do an investigation and live stream, you will have access to that. And the owner is one of the most engaged owners really that we've encountered. And she's going to want to help you in your paranormal investigation.
So we flew into Sacramento Airport, and we initially went to Wine Country. So we went in the other direction. Then we came back to Sacramento to pick up Jason from that airport.
Right.
And then went to Jackson.
It's just a small town. It's old. It doesn't seem like they've done the typical thing with towns where they tear down old buildings and build new. Like they're trying to keep the feel of the town to be original for the most part. Their main street has all their cute little buildings with the shops in them. Yep. But it looks like it probably always has looked for the most part. It probably got a facelift in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely has a 70s vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking in the antique shops, which was really fun.
There's a lot of antique shops there.
And they also had like really neat like restaurants that we went to, like on Main Street, that old boarding house that we went to, which was adorable. And I would 100% eat there again. It was like Italian food.
I dream about that.
It was so good.
That restaurant.
Yeah. And it's really cute because it's like the family still owns it. They've converted the boarding house. The owner will come talk to you about because it's the granddaughter, I think, of the original owner.
I think so.
And she has like the history and she'll talk to you about it. And you can tell that like this is something that they really love. And so that was fun. Mm-hmm. I don't generally like stay up all night with the ghost hunting, and I just want to go to bed. And like there was no way that you could like move around that house quietly. So just logistically speaking, we had a hotel room. So we would go there to do some ghost hunting and then go back to the hotel, which was,
But also, because the first night we were there, we kind of freaked ourselves out.
Are you dancing? Are you having a good time?
I'm not sleeping here tonight. I'm not after looking at this.
Oh yeah, one of the girls,
So I feel like it was a good plan to have that backup, even if we didn't end up staying at the hotel. Like, just in case, we don't know what we're gonna find when we go to these places.
That's true.
And so it's nice to know like we can go somewhere and actually get a good night's sleep and then come back. If we dare.
Yes.
So
and that's a really good point though too. Is I think we've learned from that situation, it's best to have somewhere else to sleep off-site. You can stay, like we're renting this place out. We can stay there as long as we want. People could sleep there if they wanted to. But then we had, for people who did not want to spend the night there, and we ultimately ended up mostly staying in the hotel at night.
Jason, why don't you tell people about other locations nearby in case someone's trying to look to make themselves maybe a paranormal vacation?
Just up the road, up the main street, there's the National Hotel.
Right.
Which, I stayed in that night. That's where we had the poker room experience.
Right.
And so that wasn't far at all.
And we're talking less than half a mile, right? Like there is one main street in Jackson, and this home is feet from the main street, and that's where the National is.
Yep. So there's that. There's also the Jackson Mine. Was it called Jackson Mine or Kennedy Mine?
The Kennedy Gold Mine.
Kennedy Mine. So that was somewhere we investigated. That's a little farther. You'd have to actually drive there, but you've got that as an option as well.
That's a very famous location too. Ghost hunters went there, I think, with Destination Fear and did a combo episode, and that is not far at all. If you're looking for paranormal activity inside of the home, when Elsie, the owner, arrived, the activity seemed to skyrocket.
Yeah, you always hear theories and people talk about, these spirits being human and having relationships with the owners or the people that are there. And this was a case where I think that applied.
Who wants to talk to us?
I almost felt like something tugged on the back of my shirt. I thought it snagged on something, but
There's nothing there.
Okay.
Are you guys touching Chad? Yes.
Start it.
What about
Your doctor.
Yeah, you're touching.
And again, the host was there when all that happened. So
Yep.
back to that theory that the spirits, they're comfortable with certain people and there may be more activity when they're around.
The simplicity of booking this home makes it perfect for anyone who is trying to rent an Airbnb. She has a website that we'll throw up here now. You can book direct from the website, and the cost, very reasonable. Of course, this is going to change as this video ages, but currently you're looking in the upper $200s to $300 a night, which, guys, for a 4-bed, 2-bath plus an investigation, you really can't beat that as far as price goes. Jason, reflecting back on this, I really enjoyed our experience there.
Well, there's so many other sites to go investigate. Yeah. The town, it's a small town. It's very walkable. They've got a great little cafe that has a delightful breakfast.
So good.
If your significant other or parts of your team are interested in antiquing or shopping, they've got some fun little shops. So it really is a fun area to go to outside of the investigation.
If you would like to hear more detailed information about the other locations in Jackson that we referenced, go ahead and leave us a comment below, and we'll make sure to include it in our next video. Jason, next on the list is the notorious Haunted Hill House. Now, this home was built in the late 1880s in Mineral Wells, Texas. So the city of Mineral Wells is about 90 miles or so west of Dallas-Fort Worth. We flew into Fort Worth. We rented a car. I realized that I didn't know how to rent a car and actually rented one off-site. So we had to take a couple of shuttles to get there. It was a whole mess, but we rented it. We drove 90 minutes west into the small town of Mineral Wells. Unlike the other ones, this one isn't a traditional Airbnb, but you can rent it for a paranormal investigation. It does have bedrooms. You can stay there overnight. And when you rent this home, you get it from late at the night all the way until the next morning. 5 beds, 4 bath, 1 kitchen, and more spirits than you can handle. And unlike the other ones, these ones may just come home with you. Logistically, after the investigation, and you want to go back to your Airbnb or to your hotel, there weren't a whole lot of options to eat late at night. They do have fast food there in Mineral Wells, but everything kind of closes down early.
Yeah, we were disappointed by one place closing in particular.
Which one was that?
McDonald's.
Yeah. McDonald's is our go-to, and even McDonald's closes late. So do think about that. If you're someone who likes to investigate late and then get food, your options are minimal.
So thinking about the best time to go to Haunted Hill House, we definitely recommend spring or fall. We were there in December.
Yeah.
It was a little chilly at times. Mm-hmm. So spring would probably be a great time to go. I hear it gets a little warm in the summer, very humid. So definitely recommend spring and fall.
They do have plug-in heaters, electric heaters inside of the home, and it will keep an individual room warm, and then some wall mount air conditioners as well. But this house is definitely dated. They've done a great job of keeping up with it, but you're not going to get the same amenities as far as updated house that we saw as Bethany's Home Sweet Haunted Home.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a kitchen. They've got, like you said, some of the space heaters. So there are some modern conveniences, but it is an older home.
You bring up a great point. Let's talk about that kitchen as far as logistics go, because that is really important and is a huge plus, at least in my mind, when it comes to paranormal locations. The kitchen not only functions as a full kitchen, they keep it stocked with, they have a refrigerator with sodas, they have snacks, but it's also a paranormal command center. And if you're an investigator, this is an investigator's dream. CCTV cameras are set up throughout the house and are plugged into a central TV in the kitchen that you can monitor 24/7. If you miss something and think that the camera caught it, you can text the owner of the home. They will save a clip and send it to you.
Now, over the years, we've assembled quite a bit of gear.
Yeah.
We've tried different things. I had no idea how much gear there was. Like when we got there, they've got everything we'd had, everything we've tried, and then some. So we actually got to try some new gear that we'd seen on shows or we'd heard about or that we hadn't even heard about.
If you're light on gear and you want an experience, this is the marquee place that we have ever seen as far as just having it all for you. All you got to do is show up.
Yeah, even down to batteries. They've got rechargeable batteries. They've got the rechargers. So really, you could probably go there with no gear and be just fine.
Yeah. Now, this place is going to be a little bit tricky when it comes to sleeping in it. So we did not sleep there. We actually ended up booking an Airbnb just about a mile away from the location. Home is older, as I mentioned previously. I don't know that I would recommend sleeping in there, but you can certainly investigate it the entire night.
You wouldn't sleep there because it's older or because Big D Willie's
so let's talk about this. So inside of the home, the spirits there are intense. At least for our investigation, we had a number of spirits come through. Now, Jason, this home is notorious. Every major YouTuber has been to this location.
What was that?
I heard that.
That didn't come from there.
No.
I almost heard it like it was back here. Karen, was that you? Did you heard that? Karen, was
Sounded
that
like
you?
a little kid, potentially.
Boy, Moscow's nuts now. Can you step away from that?
That thing's going nuts. I wonder if the music box is somehow interfering with that or something, because it's pointed the same direction.
If it was a music box, it wouldn't pause like that.
Also in Mineral Wells, there are other paranormal locations. Now, we didn't check any out because, frankly, you don't need anything else. The Haunted Hill House, for us, is the most haunted location we've ever been to. But the Baker Hotel, which is a very famous haunted hotel, currently under renovation and construction, it's a block away. I mean, you can literally throw a stone from the front yard and hit it. The Crazy Water Hotel is less than half a mile away and has reports of being haunted. We drove by it, but we didn't go inside. And then the Old Nazareth Hospital, which you can see on famous TV shows that have visited there. It is now condemned. It still stands, but you can't get inside of there. So really, the Haunted Hill House is the place to go.
Well, to be honest, there's so much activity there. There's so much to investigate that really you could spend a week there.
Yeah.
And still have more investigation to go.
Yeah.
So, and while we're on that topic, thinking about how the strategy you want to use, there is so many different areas and different activity. We'd recommend viewing some of the TV shows, some of the other groups that have gone there, so you have an idea of what's there going in. The host will give you a tour, so you know what's going on and where everything is. But definitely try and have a strategy going in because there's so many different ways you can investigate. You don't want to lose time thinking through that.
Bring a digital recorder. That's the only thing I think that's not provided, but you need to bring one, even if it's just the one that's on your phone, because you will capture EVP.
So I just completed my solo investigation in the scratcher room or the poker room. I was in there for probably 15 minutes, had the necrophonics, had REM pods, had the paralamp going. Wasn't really getting any responses, was asking something to call out cards or call out the roulette number. And after about 15 minutes, I just said, okay, nothing's happening. We need to try something else. So I went to turn off the necrophonics. And as soon as I did, I heard like a giggle or a moan, probably like right next to me, like clear as day, to the point where I wondered if it came from the necrophonics, but the necrophonics was off. I checked that, wasn't the necrophonics. What Is there a girl or a woman in here?
You're going to want to be on the ball in booking this location because it books up so fast. But they do have a calendar that's available online along with specific instructions to book it. The price for this for us was around $500 to $550 per night. That can fluctuate, of course, with time.
Along with all the gear. So
yeah, that's a great point.
Just renting that gear, I think, would be that much alone if you were to rent that much gear.
So even though Mineral Wells itself doesn't have a lot of activities outside of the paranormal, you are relatively close to major cities. I mentioned 90 minutes away from Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. So if you do have someone who doesn't want to investigate, certainly getting a rental car, it's accessible enough where they can go out on their own adventures. And I will say we didn't explore it much, but the downtown center of Mineral Wells did have some antique shops. They had diners there. They even had a couple of sports bars that we considered going to. So there are some other activities that can keep someone who's not paranormally inclined busy.
Yeah, if you like what you could call small town America,
yes,
it would be a fun town to go just explore and see. And like you said, there's a lot of antique shops and other things.
Jason, last but not least, we have in Nephi, Utah, the Whitmore Mansion. Now, this mansion built in the late 1800s for George Whitmore has been a home, a hospital, a hotel, a home again, almost destroyed, saved and on the National Historic Registry, located about 90 miles south of Salt Lake City, Utah, just off of I-15. This beautiful home, great shape, 4 beds, 5 baths. It's only rented out, Jason, a few times a year. May, June, July are the only times you can get it because the back of the house has a family that lives in it full time and takes care of the home. They do have readily accessible calendar to book on through Airbnb. We'll put that in the comments below. You can rent out an individual room, or if it's completely vacant, you can rent out the entire home to yourself. That's what we ended up doing in May of last year.
Which we'd actually recommend because the stairs are a little squeaky.
Yes.
It is an older home, so there's going to be other noise and movement. So you want to minimize that. If you have another party there that's coming and going, it's going to be hard to investigate.
Yeah, even though each room has its own small bathroom, you nailed it on the head with those stairs. They are so noisy. But in fact, it is a famously haunted place. Now, we don't have a great history as to why this location is necessarily haunted. You can see the Ghost Adventures episode where they caught a pretty impressive anomaly on that staircase.
Yeah. Because of that family living there, we're not able to access the entire house where some of that activity was. But you can get to the staircase. You can get to some of the other areas. And we actually had a lot of activity in a particular room that we'll talk about. But
yes.
So there's plenty of area to investigate.
Now, unlike the other places that we've been, Nephi, honestly, is kind of far removed from a whole lot. In Utah, 90 miles south of Salt Lake. So if you're going to fly in, you can fly to the Salt Lake International Airport, get a rental car, drive down, and it's just off the freeway, but there's not a whole lot there. Now, this is a location that we did bring Sarah, Jamie, and Nicole to, and while they spent time playing cards and not necessarily investigating, they felt comfortable sleeping in the house, which I think is saying something that if you really wanted to take someone there, you can feel comfortable inside of there and just explore the beauty of the home.
Yeah. Well, especially after Bethany's. Similar age house, I'd say. Yeah. Roughly 100 years, 100 plus years. They weren't comfortable sleeping there. They were just fine here.
Yeah, great point.
So there was no kitchen that we had access to. So we brought in, and we went to a grocery store and a liquor store to just,
to have snacks and drinks
and in case we stayed up all night.
Exactly.
Yeah. And let's see, all the bedrooms were upstairs. Mm-hmm. And the stairs were like creaky. The rooms were really nice.
The house was really put together. It was clean and safe.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't falling apart or anything.
No. The bathroom situations were kind of weird, but it was like you had your own room and then the bathroom was kind of in the room. But there was like our room had a curtain that you could close. It's just like,
they were all very unique.
They were very unique. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it was an old house, like 150 years old or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very old home. It's in a small town.
Yes.
As far as like planning before we went. We didn't really have a lot to do.
And like, yeah, because there weren't restaurants, because we weren't sure about like food being open on Sunday, or restaurants being open on Sunday, and we didn't have access to a kitchen. That's why we brought in our own dinner. We brought in snacks. We brought in like water. And then we ended up like driving back up to Salt Lake to order breakfast anyway.
And have it sent to the house.
Yeah.
Now, no paranormal equipment inside of this home, so you're going to need to bring that on your own. They do have Wi-Fi, but you're going to need to bring your own gear. They have electrical everywhere, so you can bring your own power cords if you need to charge things. They have great rooms set up downstairs if you want that to be your command center. And in fact, this was the first time that we brought our CCTV. And we actually brought a TV. So we just put it downstairs, plugged it in, plugged in the CCTVs. And when we would take breaks during our investigation, we just watched the CCTV setup that was running upstairs where the rooms are. Now, the activity in the home is interesting. The downstairs, we hammered that quite a bit, and that staircase, especially after what Zach Bagans captured. Most of the rooms upstairs, we didn't get a whole lot of activity. But there was one room in particular, the one that Jason was assigned to. We had quite a bit.
That thing hasn't gone off all night.
That's why I put it over there.
All right, let's do this.
So we can use that lamp as well if you want to touch that to indicate yes to a yes/no question, or
Just go over there and touch it.
Oh!
What
If
happened?
there's anything else going on my left side, I'm pretty sure it twitched, but it felt like something went boop.
I didn't see nothing.
Did you just touch Chad on the left shoulder?
So I'm at work right now, and this is like 60 hours after our investigation. I got poked during the S-Day session. It felt like it was just a little muscle spasm, but it almost felt like something just kind of went boop right there on my left shoulder. Didn't think much of it. Never had that happen before. The next morning I was fine, drove home, and then I woke up after that, and the whole left side of my neck and my back is just crippled with pain. It feels like if anyone's ever had rib dysfunction or like a slipped rib, meet that pain with like numerous trigger points on my neck, and that's what it feels like. Now, I'm not saying that this is a ghost. It's probably from my running and the way that I arch my back, but the timing is really interesting. You just said no. You said, I'm not sleeping in that room. And at first we thought that you were joking. Jason, you literally ended up sleeping on the couch in my room next to Sarah and I.
It was a comfortable couch.
The location's interesting in terms of if you're trying to make this into a paranormal trip or vacation. About 20 miles north of Nephi is Payson, which is another small town, but it's the location of the Petite Neat Cultural Arts Center. Not the easiest location in the world to book. However, Jason, that is where we captured the FLIR thermal image of what we think is a portal. We've had numerous EVPs in that location as well. So you could potentially pair two investigations with not too much driving.
Yeah, if you're going to make the trip to one of them, I'd recommend going to both.
Yeah, especially if you're coming in from out of state.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so much activity at Petite Neat. I would recommend that. Again, it's harder to book, but would recommend an investigation there. While you're there, if you're from out of state, include the Whitmore Mansion.
Yeah, yep, I think so. At the time of recording, it's about $600 per night, so it's on the pricier side, but that's for the entire home. And the bookings are scarce. You got to get on it early because, like I said, there's only a few weekends per month for the summer months, so you can actually rent out this place. At other times, they do escape rooms and they do paranormal tours. And really, the home really should be on the National Historical Registry because it is beautiful. And so they do a great job with that. So if you're someone who enjoys those type of homes, it's a good place.
I think they actually do a haunted house in October there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So,
all right. So those are our 3 top picks for readily accessible Airbnbs. What do you think about this episode? Would you like to see more of these in the future? I know we would certainly like to go investigate more. If you have a home that you would like us to go investigate and make a video on, leave it in the comments below. We'd be happy to check it out.
Yep.
If you're enjoying the content, please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got a few more things up our sleeves to help you get your investigative shoes. Is that a thing? Do you wear investigative shoes? I don't know why I said that. To help you get your investigation underway.
And depending on which hotel you go to, if you do go to a hotel, there might be a fiesta in the parking lot.
Yes, the Best Western fiesta, middle of the night. Music is bumping, and if you're looking for a party, that Best Western's got it. I'll throw shade at them, no problem. That was awful.
I didn't want to mention the name, but
All right.
and if you want to see more Triton,
Here in the cooler,
say that in the
I
comments.
feel ridiculous, but it's also terrifying.
Not a chance in hell.
It's completely quiet and isolated.
So lastly, and probably the most important part of the trip to Mineral Wells is, say that your significant other is kind of on the fence about investigating. This place sounds a little bit... Say this place sounds a little bit darker and scarier. There's one way to get your partner there. Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's, if you haven't been, your life is not complete. The most delightful, massive gas station is such a negative term when it comes to Buc-ee's experience of life.
How dare you call that a gas station?
I know.
How dare you?
Buc-ee is near and dear to my heart. The nearest Buc-ee's is just over an hour away. It's worth it. Do we tell them that we had both lunch and dinner on the same day at Buc-ee's?
We could. Should we mention Bob had the triple meat?
I think he's still recovering from it, but it's so good.
Chad, I think you put it best when you said Buc-ee's. It's not a gas station. It's a lifestyle.
It is. It is.
Okay. So I was like, of course there's going to be like a ghost situation, and I'm not recording, not paying attention, not looking for ghosts. I was just killing time. Yeah, I was all by myself. And I'm like, I kind of look under the table to like see like, oh, are there legs or is there like someone here? And there was a skunk. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm bringing a skunk home. But then
And
like,
we're really glad you didn't.
oh yeah.